Good afternoon, it's Michael here from Michael's Card Art, and I've got a little exercise for us. It's something that I've just done now, and I am by no means a professional watercolour painter. However, I've taken a lot of information in from my various colleagues who are very good at watercolour painting, and I thought I'd just share a couple of vignettes of my experience. I've got here two aircraft from the Adventurous Sky stamp set from Stampin' Up, and I think they make a very good they provide a very good opportunity for practicing some watercolour. So I just wanted to do a quick video and show you the outcome of that. So here it is here. What I did was I grabbed some StazOn Saddle Brown. StazOn is especially good when you are looking to work with watercolour, because you know that it's going to set hard and fast, and you won't have any drama with runs when you start to wet the paper. So that's practically dry already. Now when you use StazOn, don't forget you do need to use a StazOn cleaner on your stamp, because you do not want to get a build-up of that stuff on your stamp set. So a little bit of StazOn and cloth, and that should remove the build-up. Okay, little housekeeping tip there. So let's get rid of that and keep moving. Now, right, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in two colours, a smoky slate and also a copper clay. Now I'll show you the card that has kind of triggered this. This is the card I made for a friend's birthday, and it has these planes in it. And what I did was I coloured the planes using the inks and also the blends, the Stampin' Up blends. But what I want to do now is I just want to I wanted to practice doing watercolour with these, and you'll notice that with this plane here that was done with blends, we've got really three colours in the colour of the plane. We've got copper clay, dark and light, and a smoky slate. So we're going to replicate that look, if we can, using watercolours. So, and let's get that underway there. So that's the two different looks that you can see. So what I'm going to do, just to activate some, that wasn't very well done at all, but it doesn't matter with that one. But I do want to get some smoky slate out into this one, and there it is there. So just squeezing the ink pad, and we'll get you a good bit of coverage there of colour. Just do that one more time. One more time. There we go. Excellent. All right, so there's our colours. Now I'm just going to position everything so you can see what I'm doing. There it is there. We've got our reference point. Let's move that one out of the road. And right, I've also got a water pen from Stampin' Up, but you could use any small paintbrush if you like. This is a Winsor Newton paintbrush number 1. You could use this. I'm not going to. I'm going to go back with the watercolour pen because it's a nice fine point. And I've got a little source of water here, and I'm just going to squirt that onto the desk. That's 2 puddles. Now let's bring this forward. Now can you see that? Oops, now I've got water on the paper. Okay, you don't need to see the ink pads so much. Let's get this over here. All right. Actually, forgive me. I'm just going to move that water puddle so I've got a bit more real estate to play with. All right, now I'm just putting the water off screen. I've wet my brush liberally, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to do one wing at a time. So all I'm doing is I'm creating a wet environment in which to apply the colour. So firstly, lay down the water. Now this technique is called wet on wet. So it means wet paint on wet base. And with this, you have less control over how the colour flows across your card, but it gives a very nice effect despite the lack of control. Now I'm just going to apply a little bit of colour, the copper clay, and you watch this. As we apply it to the wet areas, you will see that it runs and flows according to whatever it feels like doing at the time. And so we want a dark base if we can, in which to, there we go. Now I'm just going to wet that brush again, and just because I didn't wet inside this area, there we go, and just apply a little bit of colour, and you'll watch that run through into there. Okay, let that dry, and we're going to do the same thing up in this wing here. So apply water and just apply the water to the inside area of the image that you're wanting to colour. You can see there's quite a pool of water. You don't want it so that the whole thing is dripping with water, but this is probably the maximum you'd want. Okay, so you can see, take our copper clay and just touching just sufficiently down here to start to activate that water, and it's starting to colour our object. All right, taking it along to here and let that do its thing. Now what we're going to do is take off as much of that copper clay as possible, and we're going to just reactivate that area where we did originally, and then we're going to come in with the smoky slate, and you watch, and you'll start to see how the grey will run around and do its thing, just gently touching. And let the area dry first before you add your next colour or another coat of the same colour. And here we go there. All right. All right. Now, just got a bit of water there so we can add our grey up here. Now the grey is a very light grey, smoky slate, so you may need some multiple coats of that. There we go. And just putting some grey in there. All right. Okay, so you've got there a sense of, it has a nice soft finish to the colour. All right, now let's go and tackle the body of the plane, keeping away from those areas that we've already just wet down, if we can. And so the underside of the plane will be moderately dark, so we've got some guidelines here to help us with that. There we go. All right, and now let's try, that's enough there at this stage. We'll bring the grey in after that's had a chance to dry off, and some more smoky clay down in this area here, just the very finest touch of colour. There we go. All right. That's the underside, so it'll be that bit darker than the rest of the plane. Okay, now let's come back up here and do this part of the plane, body, or the fuselage, with the grey. Load up as much as you can on that, and let's get some of that grey in there. There we go. So the light is really coming up and hitting that part of the fuselage as it's taking off. There we go. All right, now let's get some grey down the back end of the fuselage where the light is possibly hitting it as it's taking off. There we go. It might need a little bit more of this copper clay in the base there, because I think that's quite a dark area. You're not going to see too much of that as the plane lifts up. There we go, that's better. All right, there we go. Bit more grey in there. Oh no, it's going to be a bit more of a brown. It's nice and light in there. Okay, now under here we're going to also have some brown. Just wet that area. Apply our colour under the wing there. I don't want it to go all the way up. I just want a bit of colour there. That's the way. Just there. It'll darken as it dries. There we go. Now, a little bit of water there, and now some grey on the top there. Top of the tail. I think that's probably going to need a bit of brown in there. A bit of copper clay. There we go. That's good. All right. Now, all I'm doing now is just touching up some of these darker areas, and I'm really just trying to not rub it in, but just give it a gentle flicks of the brush, and then so it's taking it from like a pink color to now back into our copper clay color. There we go. A bit darker in here. There we go. All right. And where else have we got here? Need to fill that in there. I'm going to make this here. I'll do that as a brown copper clay, and copper clay in the center here. Okay, and washing off the brush, a bit of smoky slate in here, and here. And that's about as good as it needs to be. Under here we've got some grey and some, that's it, copper clay. And I'll just finish off around the propeller. We've got some colouring from the blades turning, and just in there. this here is going to be the struts, so we need to give them some colour. And inside the wheel, and I'm going to get some black and just do the tyres. Here they go. A little bit here. Oh, go easy, Michael. There's a dark basic black. All right. There was one other thing I was thinking of as I was doing that. Oh, right. Now, on the underside of the plane, where there's really dark, intense shadow, I'm just going to touch that up a little bit with some black. There we go. Just to give it that intense look of shadow. Just a little bit. Now, as I said, I'm not a watercolorist. However, this is really just the few elements that I've learned and taught myself from watching far greater watercolor artists than myself. But in making this card, I really was looking for a different technique to colour those fabulous prints of the aircraft. All right, I don't know that I can do anything more in that space. Here is our plane, and if you feel like dabbling with your watercolours, well, there's a little exercise you might want to try. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've learned something, and I hope I get to see you at the next video, where I will show you the compilation of this card, or a variation of this card, and whether I do blends colouring or whether I do watercolour colouring. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see how we go. But yes, I hope you enjoy that, and I hope to see you next time on Michael's Card Art. Thank you.